Good morning. It's morning. It's also the week of the CPCR Manitoba Open. That's the Centerport Canada Rail Park Manitoba Open. And it's going to be a ridiculously busy week for me. So I thought I'd do this one early. Also because I thought giving this episode a chance for you to see how a couple things can be done if you're going out to eat in restaurants and you want to have some extra breakfast stuff. Now, what happens for breakfast is quite often, we think about the breakfast sandwich that we made earlier a few episodes ago, and we think about how great that is. And now we've gone out for dinner, and we order food, burgers, or something other magical. And now we get the plate of food, and you ever notice how many restaurants give you this mound of French fries? And some of you are likely to eat them all. Surprisingly enough, you'd think I would eat them all, but this may be bought and paid for. But I don't actually eat all that much. Whatever. Life, genetics are what they are. So here we go. Whenever I go out to eat and I have a ton of French fries left over, I always ask for a carryout container of those French fries. So here we have a container of French fries. And you think to yourself, they look like really, a couple day old French fries or day old French fries. And that's exactly what they are. But here's what we're going to do with them. I'm going to carefully pull them out of the box. Put that in there. Then I cut them down. Notice how I've got the pan going here already. So we got some oil and butter in the pan. And the pan is set to about, this is the 2 rings of this stove on 3. So then we just chop this down. Be careful with your fingers. Make sure, because French fries are always a little bit, when they're in a pile like this, you never know quite how big you're going to be cutting them. So just cut them as you want to, as you need to, but be careful with your fingers. It's important to realize this is a infrared stove. And so what happens with this stove is the element comes on, turns off, comes on, turns off. And so if I've got it set to 3, what that means is it's going to come on at 100% power 30% of the time. That's an important thing to figure out with your stove because you don't want to overheat things. Aluminum pans are fantastic. However, they can warp if you use them at too hot a temperature. So what we do here now is we're just going to slip these in here. And then we're going to stir them around a bit. Now, the beautiful thing about these is when you get them into the pan, you realize that perhaps you may have missed a couple. So you just cut them down with whatever you got handy. And we're just going to let these cook up a little bit. Okay? Now, there's another one. Oh, that one's going to go. There it is. Okay? Now, because these are already cooked, they don't have to take that long to make in a pan to crisp up really nicely. What we're going to do is by letting them crisp up, we have basically fake hash browns. Woohoo! How cool is that? Okay, now part of this process again is, eating out is fun, but it's spendy. It's expensive. Making food at home is fun if you want it to be. And, even better if you're making food for somebody else. You've got your kids visiting, maybe you've got an overnight guest, your spouse, whomever. Yay! Here's where we can do it. So again, that was just about a bit of oil, a bit of butter. That's how I like to do them in the morning. And away we go. So we're just going to let them fry up a little bit. The beautiful thing about this is you can do this all in one pan if you have, this is I think about a 10-inch, maybe a 12-inch pan. And I'll show you how to lay the eggs in so they can all use one pan. Now I've done this as well with certain sausages or sometimes pre-cooked bacon where I'll just lay the bacon out. And when I'm using breakfast meats, what I do is once the hash browns are cooked, then I cook the breakfast meats and I put the breakfast meats on top of the hash browns because the hash browns can cook and get crispy-er, but you don't want the meat to overcook or burn. So this way we can do a couple of different things in one pan and including cooking up of the eggs. Okay? So we're just going to let this go for a couple more minutes. You know, I remember years ago seeing somebody in a home kitchen using a saucer to put the eggs into a pan, and I couldn't quite figure out why, and now I think I know. It only took me years. So I'm going to share this with you right now. The beautiful thing about putting your eggs in a saucer is that when it comes time to putting it into the pan, you can control how far the spread of the whites go. It seems to me that lately I've noticed that, lately meaning like the last 5-10 years, time has different meanings for people in their lives at different points in their lives. But what I find here is that by using the dish, I can control how much spread of the whites go. And I can also control that using the spatula. So this is just a weird shaped spatula I picked up at IKEA. And hashtag IKEA, hashtag start the car. There's a spring sale going on, whatever. I use the spatula, regardless of the shape and size, to control what's happening to the eggs. Okay, here we go. Cracking an egg. Ooh, difficult process. So we're just going to crack it out. We'll throw that in the sink for later. What I do with the eggshells, of course, doesn't everybody, is put them into the under-counter compost bin. And then we have one that's fighting back. And then what I do is I just give them a quick rinse, put them in the compost bin, and set the compost out for the soil that I'm going to make in 2 years. I do a 2-year cycle with compost. I can explain that. I have time because I'm stirring around French fries. So what I do with my compost is once I turn it a few times and it's looking like it's really dark and black humus, or humus, whatever it's called, the black soil that the black goo that finishes after you're done with compost, then I put that into the bottom third of a garbage bag because it's about how much it fills and it gets very heavy. I put that against the back fence. I let that cook over the next year in the sun. And then the following year, I bring out that compost bag that's been fully cooked out, and I add sand and perlite or vermiculite, depending which way you want to go, and peat moss. And bingo, bango, bongo, you got yourself soil. How sweet is that? Okay, so these are getting crispy-ish, crispy enough. So I'm going to push those over to the side. And you just make a small pile, and they will probably end up cooking maybe a little bit more on the bottom, which is fine. And as I move these around, we're just going to get all the good bits off there. And notice how I'm making the pile so that it is in the one edge of the pan. Now, the way I add it, there's enough butter and oil in this pan that I don't need to add any more. If the pan was too dry, you define too dry, I would then add a little bit more butter, oil, or even cooking spray. So I'm going to take the first couple of eggs. I'm going to lay my spatula like this so that it blocks out any of the white stuff as it goes through. And I'm just gently going to lay the eggs in there. Okay? Notice how that white has spread. So we're just going to separate that a little bit from the potatoes over there. And we're going to tuck this in over here. And we now have our first 2 eggs in the pan. Just sort of drop that back into the pan. Okay, round 2 on eggs. So round 2 on eggs, open up egg 1, open up egg 2, and there we go. Now this works really well because, of course, eggs, different people like their eggs different ways. But a couple of 40 seconds of time isn't going to make a huge difference. Okay? I'm going to turn the pan slightly so I can get this. If I was doing this where I wasn't on camera, I would move to the other side of the pan, but I'm not going to do that. Okay? As you're now guessing, I'm left-handed because I'm doing a lot of the fine work with my left hand. All right, so again, we're going to spread that part. Wait, I'm going to try this right-handed because this just isn't going to work. We're going to protect our potatoes. Sorry, my arm's in the way. And then we're going to lay in the eggs. Okay, egg pan over there. So again, we get a bit of a spread. Now, if I was doing this with my left hand and I could move around a bit more, I wouldn't have quite the same challenges of egg overlap. But that's okay. You just take a little bit of time. Be very gentle with your eggs. There's no need to rush, okay? And here's the really cool thing. Now, this is the way I like to do eggs. Basically, it's a modified form of basting. So we're just going to put an ice cube in the pan, cover it, and set the timer for 2 minutes. I like 2 minutes because they've already been in the pan for about 40 seconds or so. And then it normally takes me, I don't know, another 40, 50 seconds to actually plate them up, which I'll do shortly. And so by doing it, by setting the timer for 2 minutes, it actually takes about 3 minutes for the eggs to cook. And what happens is those eggs are cooking up. They continue cooking. Now, I like my eggs really loose, my egg yolks really loose. So what I typically do is I pull my eggs out of the pan first. My wife likes to share the egg yolks with the dogs. And so I flip her eggs over and then let them keep cooking while I serve out the rest of what's in the pan. And that works really well. Okay. So it depends how you like your eggs. But the beautiful thing with doing them this way is that the ice melts, it steams into the pan. This is a lid from a different, larger pan that I use for all kinds of other things, but it fits really well in this pan to make the eggs in. If you're doing more eggs, use a different pan. Use a bigger pan. If you are using, if you like your eggs scrambled, scramble them. Hey, whatever, man. But the beautiful thing about these French fries as hash browns is that you have a much faster base. So we're going to end up having nice crispy hash browns in these with eggs in under 10-ish minutes, maybe 12-ish minutes by the time we're done. And if I wasn't talking my way through this, whatever, you just do it. If you're doing potatoes from raw, it can take 20-ish minutes or so to cook hash browns from raw potatoes to cooked. If you're pulling them out of a freezer or you're using dehydrated ones, again, you're looking at 8 to 10 minutes. Depends on your pan. There we go. So the time is done. And we can see here, look at that. We got eggs. Okay, nice fluffy white eggs. Now I'm going to do this. I'm going to separate out these two. And I'm going to flip these. Again, that's so the egg yolks can go to the dogs. And I'm going to get ready to, oops, and flip. And we have basted eggs of a sort. Okay, next, just going to pull the hash browns over, spread them out a little bit, and we're going to put those out onto the plate. And if you were serving this to somebody, of course, you just clean up that edge, push that over, make them look pretty. Ooh, eggs. Okay. And then we're going to take the other set of hash browns and we're going to put that onto the plate. And so, again, as I'm trying to talk my way through putting out the hash browns, here's the thing to remember. In our third season of life, you may find yourself in a beautiful house, asking, who is this beautiful woman that is my wife? How did I get here? No, you're not going to ask yourself that. You're going to ask yourself, how do I make a quick breakfast that's really yummy? Especially if you've got your beautiful wife hanging around. So here we go. Now we're going to just pop these out and over. In our third season of life, we like to figure out how to make the most of our time and our money. So here we go. And the length of time it's taken me to do this video, I'm just going to push this in here so we don't notice it so much. There we go. In our third season of life, we do things like cook for ourselves because it's way cheaper. It's way safe. It's way better. If you wanted to, you could season these with different flavorings, Cayenne or Creole. You could add some fried onions to them. You could, the world's your oyster, man. Do what you want to with your breakfast. But we like to figure out how to enjoy our lives, enjoy our food, enjoy going out to eat, and then maybe making a little bit of savings from that. Okay. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, share, and make comments. So I keep asking for the same thing. I'm going to keep asking. Anything you want me to make? So far, I'm doing the things I think of, and it's now 9:56, and I have a meeting that I've got that I'm going to be leading at noon. So I'm very involved with the CPCR Manage Up Open, so I got to get going. So thanks very much. I hope you have an excellent day whenever you're watching this video, and whether it's nighttime or morning time or afternoon time, think about how you want to make breakfast for somebody that you really like. All right. Thanks so much. Hope you have an excellent day. Cheers.